This segment will look at the SHEG lesson format. We will navigate to the Reading Like a Historian page using the Curriculum tab. From there, we are going to examine the World History lesson on appeasement. This lesson provides us with a wide variety of materials to explore in the SHEG lesson format. You will see a brief introduction to the lesson, and underneath the picture you will see a variety of materials available for teacher use. Let's begin by looking at the teacher materials. You will notice that you can download and save materials to your computer, or you have a quick view option. All of the SHEG lessons are centered around a historical question. In this case, was appeasement the right policy for England in 1938? Each lesson includes a list of materials that students and teachers will need. The plan of instruction typically begins by having students activate their background knowledge. In this case, SHEG has provided a PowerPoint, which we'll look at in a few moments, to help students prepare to examine the sources. This SHEG lesson encourages students and teachers to look at the sources in rounds, and from there to draw conclusions to support a hypothesis. Lessons end with discussion questions that teachers and students can explore in order to conclude their historical investigation of the topic. Let's go back and take a look at the sources for the lesson on appeasement. We will look at the student materials in English. They begin with a timeline to help provide some of the context that students will need to understand the sources. You will notice that SHEG sources are modified. This enables them to be usable by a wide variety of learners. Sources include a brief introduction, which will be beneficial to students while they are sourcing the information. Following the text of the source, vocabulary that students may need to understand in order to interpret the document is provided and defined for them. This particular lesson has 5 sources. If we scroll down past the sources, we will find the guiding questions. Guiding questions are provided for each individual source, making it easy for teachers to divide sources up among students or use a variety of teaching strategies. You will notice that questions focus on sourcing, context, close reading, and sometimes corroboration of sources. Once students have examined the guiding questions, they will be able to use the answers to those questions to finish a discussion and write hypotheses on appeasement. You will notice that this setup allows students to examine 2 hypotheses and to use corroborating documents to support their answer. Let's go back and take a look at what the materials would look like in Spanish. We'll also look at a quick view. This allows you just to get an overview of what's happening without having to download it to your computer. You can see here that the Spanish version of these materials looks just as it does in English. The timeline followed by the documents, noting again that they're modified with their introductions and text and vocabulary. The sources again are followed by the guiding questions in Spanish, and then the final discussion and writing component. Not every SHEG lesson includes a Spanish-speaking material set. Let's take a look at the PowerPoint that can be used to give students background information. You can download the PowerPoints and modify them if you like, or share them with students. This PowerPoint uses a series of visuals to help activate prior knowledge. PowerPoints typically end with a look at the central historical question. This helps focus student learning on the topic at hand. The last materials that you will find available with many SHEG lessons are the original documents. By providing documents in their original format, SHEG has made it easy for teachers to increase the rigor and challenge students who may need the additional challenge. You can see these documents appear in their full version and are of longer length. Their sources are identified, but they do not have an introduction, nor do they have the vocabulary component that was available with the modified sources. As you can see, SHEG provides a wide variety of well thought out and put together lessons for teachers to use. It is worth noting that in some lessons, instead of referring to them as teacher materials, SHEG has referred to them as lesson plans, and those lessons incorporate the student materials into the lesson plans as one PDF.